I almost died because someone cut my brakes. At first, everyone thought it was just an accident, but the truth was far more terrifying. My name is Elra Quinn. I'm 32 years old, and about a month ago, my life changed forever. That morning felt completely normal. I woke up, got ready for work, and followed my usual routine. Nothing felt strange. Nothing felt wrong. But now, when I think back, something about that morning feels different. Before leaving, my little daughter hugged me tightly. "Come back early, Mommy," she said softly. I smiled and kissed her forehead. "I will," I promised. I had no idea. That promise would almost be broken forever. My husband stood near the door and looked at me. "Drive safe," he said calmly. There was something warm in his eyes, something real. I nodded and walked out. If I had known what was about to happen, I would have never left that house. The road was quiet and peaceful. I was driving normally, thinking about small things, my work, my home, my daughter. And then suddenly, everything changed. I pressed the brake. Nothing happened. At first, I thought maybe I didn't press it properly. So I pressed it again, harder this time. Still nothing. My heart skipped a beat. "No, no," I whispered under my breath. The car started gaining speed. My hands tightened around the steering wheel as panic slowly took over. I pressed the brake again and again, but it wasn't responding. "Stop. Please stop," I said, my voice shaking. But the car didn't slow down. It felt like I had completely lost control. The speed kept increasing. My vision started to blur, and my hands began to shake uncontrollably. I tried everything, but nothing worked. And then, it all happened in a split second. A loud crash, the sound of glass shattering, a violent impact. And then, everything went dark. I don't remember what happened after that. Later, I was told that people gathered around my car. Some strangers rushed toward me and pulled me out. I was covered in blood, barely breathing. Someone shouted, "Call an ambulance." Everything around me was fading. I couldn't move, I couldn't speak, and then, darkness again. When I opened my eyes, I was lying in a hospital bed. My body felt heavy, weak, like it didn't belong to me anymore. Machines surrounded me, and everything looked blurry. The first thing I saw was my husband sitting beside me. His eyes were red, filled with tears. He was holding my hand tightly. "You're awake?" he whispered, his voice trembling. At that moment, I understood something very clearly. This man never left me. Even when I was fighting for my life, he stayed. Later, my friend told me everything. I had gone through 5 surgeries, one after another. My body was badly injured, and I had lost a dangerous amount of blood. At one point, the doctor said there was almost no hope. "They told us you might not survive," my friend said, her voice breaking. But my husband, he didn't leave the hospital even for a moment. He gave his own blood for me. He stayed outside the operation room for hours, waiting, praying, crying. Sometimes he sat on the floor. Sometimes he stood near the door for hours. But he never gave up. My little daughter came to see me too. She stood beside my bed, holding my hand. "Mommy, wake up!" she cried again and again. Hearing that later completely shattered me. But something didn't feel right. When I slowly looked around, I noticed the way my family was looking at my husband. Their expressions were cold, silent, almost accusing, like they blamed him for something. At that moment, I didn't understand it. But deep inside, a strange feeling started growing. Because that accident didn't feel like an accident. A few days later, a police officer walked into my room. He stood quietly for a moment, then looked at me seriously. "We have the investigation report," he said. My heart started beating faster. "What did you find?" I asked. He took a deep breath and then said something that froze everything inside me. This was not an accident. Those words froze everything inside me. For a moment, I couldn't even breathe. "What do you mean?" I asked slowly, my voice barely coming out. The officer looked straight at me and said, "Your car brakes were deliberately damaged. Someone planned this." My hands started shaking. Someone tried to kill me. Before I could even process it, my family suddenly reacted. "This is exactly what we feared," my uncle said loudly. My mother stepped forward and looked at the officer. "We already know who did this," she said firmly. I frowned, confused. "What are you saying?" I asked. And then she said the one thing I never expected. "Your husband." It felt like the world stopped. "No, that's not true," I said immediately, but they didn't listen. "He married you for money," my uncle continued. "He wanted your share of the property. That's why he did this." I kept shaking my head. "No, you're wrong. He would never do this," I said, my voice breaking. But their accusations only grew louder, harsher, more cruel. The police officer looked at them and asked, "Do you have any proof?" My mother replied without hesitation, "We have always suspected him. He had the biggest reason." I slowly turned my head and looked at my husband. He was standing in the corner of the room, silent, shocked, hurt. "This is not true," he said quietly. "I would never do this." But no one believed him. The officers stepped forward. "We need you to come with us for questioning," one of them said. Before I could react, they grabbed him. "No! Stop!" I cried. I tried to sit up, but a sharp pain shot through my body. Still, I didn't care. "He didn't do anything," I shouted. My husband looked at me, his eyes filled with pain. "I didn't do this," he said softly. "I know," I whispered, tears rolling down my face, but they still took him away. Right in front of me, I felt completely helpless. The door closed behind them, and silence filled the room. And then, I broke down, crying, shaking, unable to stop. "No, this is wrong. This is all wrong," I kept repeating. But no one came to comfort me. My family stood there, cold, like they had already decided everything. That night, I couldn't sleep. My mind kept replaying everything again and again. The accident, the report, the accusations. But one thought kept coming back stronger than everything else. He stayed with me. He gave his blood for me. He cried for me. A person like that could never try to kill me. I refused to believe it. The next morning, I made a decision. If no one else was going to find the truth, I would, even if I had to do it alone. A few days later, when my body got a little stronger, I started asking questions. I needed answers. First, I spoke to the police. "What exactly did you find?" I asked. The officer looked at me and replied, "The brakes weren't just damaged. They were carefully tampered with. This wasn't random. Whoever did this knew exactly what they were doing." That confirmed one thing. This was planned. I took a deep breath and asked another question. "When was the car last checked?" "Recently," he replied. That one word made my mind race. If the car was fine before, then someone had access to it after. Someone close. Someone I trusted. That thought sent a chill down my spine. I started thinking about everything. Every small detail. Every moment before the accident. Something wasn't adding up. So I began digging deeper. I spoke to people, tried to remember anything unusual, anything out of place. But the more I searched, the stranger things felt. Every time I got close to something, it felt like the truth was being pushed away, like someone was hiding it, carefully, intentionally, and slowly. A disturbing thought started forming in my mind. What if this wasn't just about my husband? What if someone else was involved? Someone closer than I ever imagined. That idea scared me, because it meant one thing. The danger wasn't outside. It was inside my own family. Days passed, and with every passing day, my doubt grew stronger. Not on my husband, but on everything else. Because deep inside, I felt it clearly. He was innocent, and the real truth was still hidden. One night, Something happened. Something that changed everything. It was late. The room was quiet. I was lying in bed, trying to sleep, but my mind wouldn't stop. Then suddenly, the door opened. It was my mother. Her face looked different, serious, shaken. "Can we talk?" she asked softly. Something in her voice felt heavy. I slowly sat up. "What happened?" I asked. She walked in, closed the door behind her, and sat beside me. For a few seconds, she said nothing. She just looked down at her hands, as if she was afraid to speak. Then finally, she took a deep breath. "I need to tell you something," she said. My heart started beating faster. "What is it?" I asked. Her eyes filled with tears. "I didn't want to believe it," she whispered. My body went still. "Believe what?" I asked, my voice trembling. She looked at me and said the one thing that shattered everything. "Your brother." For a moment, I couldn't understand what she meant. "What?" I whispered. "I heard him," she said. My mind refused to accept it. "He was talking to his wife last night," she continued. "They were talking about your accident." My hands started shaking. "No, that's not possible," I said. But her tears told a different story. "They planned it," she said. The room felt like it was spinning. My breath got heavier. "They said, if you had died," her voice broke, "everything would have been his." My heart dropped. My own brother, the same person I grew up with, the same person I trusted. He wanted me dead, all for property. I couldn't believe it. "If he wanted it, I would have given it to him," I said, my voice breaking. "I would have given him everything." Tears rolled down my face. But instead, he tried to kill me. My mother broke down crying. "I tried to ignore it," she said, "but I can't lose my daughter to protect my son." Her words shattered me completely. For a moment, we both just sat there, crying in silence. Then I wiped my tears slowly. "What do we do now?" I asked. My mother looked at me and then took out her phone. "I recorded everything," she said. My heart started beating faster. She played the recording. "That's his voice," she whispered. I listened, and in that moment, every doubt disappeared. This was real. This was the truth. And now, there was no going back. The next day, we went straight to the police. My heart was racing the entire time. This wasn't just a complaint anymore. This was the truth coming out. We handed over the recording and told them everything. At first, the officers stayed silent. They listened carefully, every word, every detail. Then suddenly, everything started moving fast. The case was reopened, the investigation started again, but this time, it was different. This time, they were looking in the right direction. Within days, they found everything. Proof, evidence, connections. There was no escape left. My brother was arrested. His wife, too. Just like that, the truth came out. No more lies, no more hiding, just reality. And it hurt more than anything I had ever felt before. A few days later, my husband was released. I still remember that moment. He was standing in front of me, free, but not the same. There was pain in his eyes, deep pain. "I told you," he said softly. I couldn't hold my tears anymore. "I know," I whispered. "I never doubted you." He looked at me for a moment and then slowly held my hand again, just like he did in the hospital. That same warmth, that same love, but everything else had changed. My family was broken. Trust was gone. And the truth left a scar that will never fade, because the person who tried to kill me wasn't a stranger, wasn't an enemy. It was my own brother. Sometimes the most dangerous people in your life are the ones you trust the most. Honestly, if I were in that situation, I don't know what would hurt more, the accident or the betrayal. What would you do if someone from your own family tried to harm you for money? Would you forgive them or walk away forever?